Hello, this is Alessandrina with Dexter and Alessandrina. And today I'm going to talk about beliefs. Beliefs as they relate to believing in what someone else or an authority figure or an organization or the news, what someone, and why it's not important and it's not useful to believe in whatever someone else believes. So I'll start by saying that there is no objective reality. And what I mean by that is, yes, there is an objective and reality and a truth with a big T. And what I mean by that is in the sense of people and someone being able to perceive objectively reality. The more conscious we become, the more capacity we gain to actually have a perception of reality that is more accurate and comprehensive. And still, it's not the absolute truth or the absolute reality. All reality is really dependent on look at yourself, at the world. And so everyone has a different vantage point. Everyone has a different conditioning. Everyone has different reference points that they use to assess and evaluate the world and reality. And so if there's no absolute reality, and if everything depends on the point of view, the perspective that we have, then it's so important to realize that believing in what somebody else is saying or suggesting to us as an absolute truth is not useful. Again, because there's no absolute reality. And so whatever someone else believes about you, understands about you, sees about you, perceives about you is going to have some bias. It's not going to be completely accurate and comprehensive. Unless you're working with people who can read your energy and who are more conscious, it's unlikely that any advice, any suggestions from friends or family, for instance, and not that they don't have wonderful intentions, simply that they are conditioned, they have karmas, they have their own perspectives and their own database of essentially experiences. So they have an experiential database. And so their past is going to be projected onto you, onto the present moment, and themselves without realizing that they're projecting themselves onto you when they share something to help you. So in this way, and that can feel uncomfortable, that can feel kind of scary, especially if we've inherited codependent dynamics from our parents and we still feel like children essentially wanting someone else to tell us what to do or what is real or what is true because it feels safer. And ultimately it's an illusion. Safety is an illusion, and that also sense of safety that we gain by someone telling us what reality is also not useful. It's not helpful. And so as painful as that can be at the beginning, especially if we're in a state where we don't necessarily trust our own selves and we feel like we can't assess for ourselves, evaluate for ourselves the most optimal choices in our lives. And we're afraid of missing out or messing up or not getting the results that we want or losing something or getting what we don't want. When all of that pressure is there, all of those fears and negative expectations, then it can feel really very inciting and inviting to have someone else tell you what to do or what is real, because you then immediately feel safe, like you don't have to question anything or explore, and essentially for yourself make a choice. And making a choice can feel scary if we have judgments or expectations and if we have fears, because we're immediately going to say there's a possibility that I will make the wrong choice. And by making the wrong choice, a bad choice, then I will get negative results. And so the moment that we're in that cycle, it's very difficult to make a choice for ourselves, to believe what we choose to believe based on our level of consciousness in that moment, because we're going to feel like we need to gain certainty, to be safe, to know, and that if we don't make the optimal choice, then we will blame ourselves. We will feel like we're unsafe, that we can't trust our own decisions, instead of realizing that the process of making choices is a process that is constantly refining, where we're learning to really just allow ourselves to assess, evaluate what is going to be in our highest and best good from moment to moment. And there'll be things that we won't know simply because we're not aware of them, we haven't cultivated that kind of awareness, and they're subconscious to us, and so they might interfere, and that's okay, it's not problematic. Again, it's a process of refinement and greater alignment. So letting go of wanting or feeling like we need to believe in someone or something, oftentimes an authority figure that we project our parents on to find safety, because when we are seeking to believe in what someone is saying, what we're really doing is we're in a child part, and we don't feel safe, we don't feel like we can trust ourselves, and so we seek the external support and validation, and we project the parent onto the people that we talk to, whether they are our parents or some other authority figure or friend or someone that we want to trust, and that we trust in many ways, and then we kind of like overstep the boundary and we want to trust them for everything so that we can feel safe. So it's not problematic, and it's a dynamic to be aware of, so that you can actually get much better results, make much more optimal choices by really refining your process of decision making and trusting yourself and your inner guidance and being more present and conscious, and through that process coming to not necessarily a belief. It's not about believing what is true or what is not true, simply feeling out what is most aligned for you, most optimal, that's going to bring you more into alignment with what you want. So that can be joy, peace, abundance, success, whatever it is for you. To look at every choice and to ask, is this choice going to support my ultimate intention in life? And then once you evaluate that, then it's easier to make the choice and to feel good about it. Again, having done your best, there might be choices that you make and they're not completely in alignment with what you truly want. And how can you learn that other than by doing it? Just like how can a child learn that a hot stove burns until they touch it? Even if the parent tells them, it's not always possible for the child not to want to verify and to experiment. And so if we're not afraid of the choices we make, and we're not afraid of not getting the results right away, and being okay with the refinement, the process of learning to align ourselves with what we truly want, then we can go through that process of evaluation and assessing reality to the best of our ability, and not rely on anyone for that, not rely on anybody else. Now, I'm not talking about people like guides and spiritual teachers and a really competent and conscious life coach or healer. There are many people who can help point to the truth and help you uncover for yourself the truth, and people who can read energy more than others because they have the capacity to really track your subconscious thoughts, your subconscious emotions, and what you believe and what you're reacting to and your fears, and therefore they can help you disentangle yourself from those and get to the result that you want, make the choice that is most optimal, because they have the capacity to read and to help you uncover those subconscious parts that are not aligned, not integrated, and help you do that. That's very different than just trying to get someone to create a belief and then to believe in that belief, to believe in that person, to believe that they know, to believe that they hold the truth, and to then feel safe. So it's a wonderful process, really, the process of developing your own intuition, your own self-trust, your own process of exploration, not being afraid of failing or making mistakes. That's just language, it's not truth. We're never failing or making mistakes. We're refining, we're learning, we're uncovering parts that are not in alignment. How could we know if we don't have the experience that teaches us? So the experience is there to teach us, and because of our aversion to pain, we tend to not want to have the experience because it usually brings pain, because we have expectations and we have beliefs and fears and judgments, and then we feel pain when those get triggered and they don't essentially meet the expectations that we have of reality. So that's all okay, and again, it's a wonderful process, and I really invite you to dive into it instead of asking and believing, to really learn to know your own subconscious, and to learn to know your conscious mind, and to really bring them together, to bridge the gap between your conscious and your subconscious, so that you can have a very clear message, very aligned message, very congruent message that you can essentially embody, resonate, radiate, and then it goes into your field. So what you essentially believe or choose to resonate with is going to be what is emanating from you, what's all around you, and then of course attract those things that are in alignment with that. So the more you align, the more you're in resonance with that which you want, the more you're going to have that experience faster and faster, by the way, because you're really bridging the gap. And when there's less space between you and that which you want, which you can look at it as space as different frequencies. So when there's less of a gap in frequency, then it's faster. And so it's like at the beginning, we can have a big gap in frequency, have a lot of subconscious parts that are misaligned, and then as we bridge that gap, we have less and less subconscious beliefs that don't match our intentions. Then we can come into alignment, and then the time completely collapses and we're one with it in all parts of us. And when we're one with something in all parts of us, then we can truly experience it. It's immediately experienced because the internal experience is reflected in the external. It doesn't matter what the external is, it's your internal experience that is projected onto it. So when you merge your internal experience with what you want, then you have the experience of it. I hope this makes sense, and that you learn to trust yourself, and that you learn from people that teach you to trust yourself, that really help you to understand your subconscious mind and bridge the gap between your conscious and your subconscious, so that you can feel happy and whole and have a peaceful existence and a successful existence in the way that you want. Sending you much love.